What's going on to all my sports fans out there? Just wanted to give you guys the heads up and let you know what was going on with the breaking news. If you didn't hear this already, I would definitely like to say, unfortunately for us as Detroit Lions fans, that Brian Branch is out. He'll be out the rest of the season. He suffered an Achilles injury. Kind of figured that was the case when the two people were hauling him off the field and he was hobbling on the one leg, gingerly trying to protect his opposite leg. That's when I said, yeah, that's really bad because if he can't really walk on that leg, then obviously if he's walking and favoring one side, he had an issue with his Achilles. And it was confirmed by Adam Schefter just recently. That's sad. I hate to hear that. We've been suffering a lot of crucial injuries. And then the sad part about it is after such a good victory, too, when their back was against the wall, to have this, news to be displayed right now was heartbreaking. I just wish him safe and speedy recovery right now. Hopefully we can get him back by training camp, but you never know with those Achilles injuries. Sometimes you can come back within that training camp, or even worse, it might take like 2 to 3 months into the regular season before he's fully recovered. But at the same time, even if you're recovered, most times when an Achilles injury is suffered, that person is not the same player, especially, being one of our top defenders, defending like wide receivers, running backs, and, just doing his job. He's so good at what he does that, we can't take away from that fact, especially with Kirby Joseph is not really being back yet too as well. He's been out for like 6 games now, so I'm thinking that this is possibly the end of his season as well. I would be surprised if he come back, but really be happy if he did because we can definitely use him right now after the Brian Branch injury and him suffering his Achilles, especially. What I'm hoping for right now is to get all our team back in one, healthy, impact to make a good playoff run. But at the same time, like I said, we missing Tyrion Arnold. We won't have him. Kirby Joseph still questionable, and Brian Branch is out right now. So anybody that we can get back right now would be a positive. But I don't see a lot of people coming back this season. All we can do now is just, hope and, pray that everybody can stay healthy to who we have and just try to get in, at least try to make the playoffs and try to make an impact in the playoff and have a good playoff run. I want to talk about some things that I didn't really enjoy yesterday from the Thursday night football game, and I'm just being honest with you. The poor officiating on both sides was just really, it was hard to see. I didn't even want to watch the game because it took away from the purity of the game, and there was some head scratching penalties in this game on both sides, like I said. For one, I didn't too much care for the no call on the offsides play. The offsides play when, the center hiked the ball. Dallas was definitely offsides, and we should have been able to get a free play. And in that play, Jared Goff threw the ball. And then Jameson Williams had a pass interference on that same play. Not only did you get the offsides on the defense, but then you had the situation where it was a pass interference that they didn't call that as well. Jared Goff was definitely seen frustrated and trying to figure out what was going on. The offense went off the field and we had to punt the ball back to the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't agree with that safety. Not being called a safety. That's what I should have said. That definitely was a safety. He was in the end zone, and you could clearly see the ball was in the end zone. And when he got sacked, that was a good sack. And I definitely appreciate the efforts on Aiden Hutchinson and Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell got the credit, but I like to say Aiden Hutchinson, a lot of the flack that I've been saying that he's been MIA and on the milk card that hasn't been producing. He did a lot of things yesterday, and he was everywhere to make guys like Jack Campbell be open and Aquadine Muhammad, too, with his 3 sacks. I just didn't too much care for that. I thought that was really bad when I seen that. I said, okay, you guys clearly didn't call a safety. And that was a crucial safety, too, and they didn't call it. So I know I'm not blind, and I know I seen what everybody else seen, and people clearly said it was a safety. Okay, that's not the only one right there. I didn't too much care for some of the things that happened on Dallas side of the ball neither. I didn't care for the George Pickens pass interference when DJ Reed clearly had hands on him too. Most times when you're fighting for the ball, that's how it is. You know, you both get a chance to try to go after the ball. At that point, I thought that shouldn't have been a call at all. But if anything, I still feel like nothing should have been called on both of them because they were still fighting while the ball was in the air. Not saying that it was on, DJ Reed or George Pickens, period. But to just put it all on George Pickens and say it was an offensive pass interference, that was something beyond me. I couldn't believe that call neither. But I definitely didn't care about the play, the offensive pass interference on Jake Ferguson. Because at that time, I feel like that definitely should have been a no call. If anything, it looked kind of like when I seen that play that Alex Anzalone had a hand on him. It didn't look like it was enough to be called a defensive pass interference or like he was holding. But they were clearly fighting for the ball, and I believe Jake Ferguson was trying to get in position to get the opportunity to play on the ball. And so, yeah, those are things that I've seen in the game. And like I said, I'm not an expert and I might know some things about football, but I'm not trying to say I'm the best person to call a game or anything of that nature because it's a bang bang situation and some of the plays are hard, to really dissect in normal time. So I definitely give credit where credit is due for the referees to go out there and put in that effort. But when you clearly see bad plays that are not being called or bad plays being called, that's where my problem was at. Like I said, man, I didn't understand a lot of them calls and why they were called that way. Some people were getting pissed off too, unfortunately, because yes, it went to the Detroit Lions way in that game. That final score was 44-30. So a lot of people were saying, oh, they cheated and they didn't want the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs. But it's been a lot of time the referees did bad on both sides of the ball. It was more pro, Green Bay Packer to me last week. But then sometimes we might say that because we feel like our teams are not having our way. I just don't really see that right now. Maybe I'm just a homer and I cheer for my team and I want what's best for my team. But when you see these calls not being called, man, something has to be done. I feel like Roger Goodell needs to get off his ass right now and figure out what he needs to do because I feel like when these things are happening, these refs need to be held accountable. And I'm not saying it just for the Detroit Lions' sake. I'm also saying it for the Dallas Cowboys' sake because it was some calls. It was definitely lopsided in this game, and I feel like it took away from the game. Do I feel like we won the game? I feel like we came out and we performed a little better than the Cowboys. And that's what I believe. I know people were still upset too, saying that George Pickens gave up on the Cowboys in the game and some of the things of that nature. But that'll be saved for when we do our shows on Tuesday and Wednesday, the Guru Perspective and the Guru Sports Session. But until then, I would like to say thank you all for chiming in. But I want to know you guys' takes on this. Do you think that it was some bad calls in the game? And was it things that you saw in the game that maybe I didn't see that need to be displayed or need to be talked about? Hit up my comments, and then at the same time to go to my YouTube page for the Guru Perspective. Like and subscribe, and I appreciate you all. Until then, I'll be giving you some more late breaking news.